Welcome to 2022.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year.
Okay, so for this channel update, I've divided it into 3 separate sections. I'm going to highlight the improvements that I've made to this channel in 2021. I'm going to go over some of the rides that I have planned for 2022. And since the riding season is over in Chicagoland, I'm going to go over some of the videos that I'm going to be doing this winter. A little cynical zombie history. When I originally started this channel 16 years ago, I originally used this channel as an easy way to share video with friends and family, not really meant for the public. But at the time, it was very difficult to send somebody an email of a video, so it was just easier to put it up on YouTube. A little later, some friends and I are really into Call of Duty, and at some point, one of the Call of Duty games made it really simple to upload clips from the game into YouTube. So as time went on, this channel filled up with Call of Duty clips. And then, over the years, I added some motorcycle videos. Later, I added some time-lapse and night-lapse videos. And later, some drone videos. So for many years, the channel just sat there collecting dust until I got my first e-bike in early 2020. It didn't take very long after exploring the first few bike trails that I realized that I wanted a way to record the ride so I can go back and look at it and figure out how this particular trail connects to that particular trail. So I went out and bought a GoPro Hero 8 on sale and immediately started bringing it along and recording the rides that I was riding. So once again, I started putting the videos on YouTube because the 4K video, the file sizes were really large, and which made it really hard to share with friends and family. Then as time went on, I started exploring more and more trails, and then I would go to YouTube in search of a video for a particular trail that I was interested in riding. And then I realized there weren't that many trail videos for the trails that I was looking for. It's really at that point where I decided that these videos could also be helpful to others. So then I started taking the time to put street names in so people would be able to orient themselves as to where they are on a particular trail. So using my Mac Mini and iMovie, I started putting up more and more videos onto my channel. Eventually, I decided that I wanted my videos to contain more than just the Hero 8 Time Warp, so I picked up the new Hero 9 in fall of 2020. Now, as I've said before, there's a tremendous interest in e-bikes. During the 2020 riding season, I was stopped over 100 times with people with questions about e-bikes. Because of that interest, in winter 2020, I had two goals. One, get a website created where I could put an AllTrails map of the ride right next to one of my videos of the ride. And two, to get a business card created that I can give to people I meet on the trails so I could lead them to my YouTube channel and my website. And then as the riding season began in spring of 2021, my first goal was to figure out how I was going to be able to put music on my videos without getting copyright strikes. That research eventually led me to sign up with a service called Epidemic Sound. I've already used over 300 of their tracks. They also have a feature where you can grab individual stems of the song. And in spring of 2021, I posted my first video that actually had music. That video was the Centennial Trail. After figuring out the music, I realized I needed some sort of wireless microphone solution that would record good audio regardless of the direction that I was shooting the GoPro video. That research quickly led me to the Rode Wireless Go 2s, which had just come out. So starting with the Long Prairie Trail video, I was finally able to record video and audio independently from each other. Now that the audio was taken care of, my next goal was to transition from iMovie into Final Cut Pro. My first Final Cut Pro video was the Stone Bridge Trail. After adjusting to the learning curve of Final Cut Pro, about a month later I picked up a handlebar extender, which gave me the ability to push the GoPro Hero 8 forward. So that way, I would consistently get videos like this, a good clean image where nothing on the bike is showing, instead of like this, where sometimes you would see my front rack, or like this, where you could see one of my mirrors, or like this one, where you could see my iPhone. After getting all of that taken care of, my goal shifted to finding a way to be able to put a map up on the screen at the same time. The GoPro app actually has the ability to put in some limited GPS overlay stuff. But as I quickly learned after much testing, it pretty much sucked. While researching a GPS overlay, that search eventually led me to find an app called Telemetry Overlay, which, as it turns out, does exactly what I wanted it to do. So in summer of 2021, I posted my first video with a GPS overlay. That video was the Anape State Trail going from Sturgeon Bay to Algoma. If you've watched a bunch of these videos, it's likely you've heard me bitch about the GoPro Hero 9. For whatever reason, I've had nothing but issues with that particular GoPro. I've lost footage, I've had footage that was missing the audio, and I had this frustrating issue where the majority of the time I would turn the GoPro 9 on, I would be forced to reset the time on the clock. So in September, right before our trip to Madison, Wisconsin, I picked up a GoPro Hero 10, which, thankfully, I haven't had a single problem with yet. And lastly, with all of this 4K GoPro video and the telemetry overlay, I soon realized that my old Mac Mini was not cut out for 4K video editing. So I waited for Apple to release a new MacBook Pro. So in late October, I picked up a 14-inch MacBook Pro, just the base model. But even the base model with the M1 Pro chip is so much faster. It makes my editing easier, and it's going to help me get started editing while I'm actually out on a trip. Well, that's probably more info than you wanted to know, but those are the upgrades that I've done in the last year. But before we move on to the future, I just wanted to answer a question that I've been asked repeatedly for the past couple of years. Why is the name of this channel CynicalZombie? As some of you may have already guessed, since I had a bunch of video game clips on here before, Quite simply, CynicalZombie is my gamer tag.
And now it's time to look at the future.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
So first off, in my rides for 2022, there's a few trails that I've already ridden, but I want to create a complete video for that, like I did with the Elgin branch of the Illinois Prairie Path. I want to create a separate video for the main stem, one for the Aurora branch, and a video for the Geneva Spur. I'm also going to create a standalone video for the eastern section of the Great Western Trail. On to Illinois rides. I did find a couple of trails that I have not ridden yet that are in McHenry County. My hope is to be able to ride these trails during this winter. The first trail is the HUM Trail, which is Huntley, Union, and Marengo. Though right now it looks like the trail should be the UM Trail because the trail only goes from Union to Marengo. It's not connected all the way to Huntley yet. Next up in McHenry County is a trail called the Stone Mill Trail. It's a really small trail that goes in between Harvard and Chemung. At this point, my wife and I have done the majority of the I&M Canal State Trail, though there was one section we have not yet ridden. That section is between Morris and Seneca. That is one of the rides that we plan on doing this year. Next up is the Old Plank Road Trail. That's one of the trails I wanted to get done this year but was unable to get over there. This trail is about 21.5 miles each way, making for about a 43-mile ride, and it starts just east of Joliet. I should note that this trail is included in the top 10 trails in Illinois from the Rails to Trails Conservancy. Another trail in that area we intend to ride is the Wauponce Glacial Trail. It's more of a north to south trail. It's about 22 miles each way, making for about a 44-mile round trip. And this trail too is in that top 10 trails at Illinois list. There will definitely be more rides in Illinois, though I still have to research and figure out which ones I'm going to do. But on to Wisconsin now. Last year we did a decent chunk of the Fox River State Trail that starts in Green Bay, though we were unable to finish that trail on that particular day, so I'd like to get back up there to finish that trail. Last year we explored part of the Glacial Drumlin State Trail. We rode it from Cottage Grove to Lake Mills. So I've taken that trail and broken it up into two more sections that are roughly about 40-mile round trips, which would be Lake Mills to Sullivan, and then Sullivan to near Waukesha. Next up is the Badger State Trail. During other rides, I have been to the very south end of this trail. So from over here, it looks like another trail continues north in the Wisconsin side of things. Badger State Trail. I've been to the very north end of this trail. This is very nicely done. And we also crossed right over it when we were riding the Sugar River State Trail. So if you were to take the Badger State Trail headed south here, in 18 miles, you're going to come across the Jane Addams Trail. The Badger State Trail is a trail I would have ridden last year if it weren't for the closure of the Stewart Tunnel. My hope is that they get the Stewart Tunnel repaired this year so I could plan a ride for later in the year. Next up is the Military Ridge State Trail. I would like to be able to do another trip to the Madison area, and at which point we would probably cut this trail into two separate rides. Last year we met a couple who were riding on the Anape State Trail, and they had recommended that we give the Devil's River State Trail a ride. Onto the Mountain Bay State Trail. This is one of the longest trails in Wisconsin. This trail is 83 miles one way, so we're probably going to have to divide this trail up into multiple sections. Hopefully we'll get at least one of the sections done this year. If timing and weather both go our way, I would like to get at least one ride done in the state of Michigan. The Cal Haven Trail is about 34 miles long one way, and we would probably start this trail from South Haven. And lastly, my most wanted ride for 2022 would be the Chicago Lakefront Trail. I wanted to ride this trail in 2020, but the trail was shut down due to COVID. I would have ridden it in 2021, but with crime on the rise in the city of Chicago and the fact that I'm not at all familiar with that trail, I decided against it. Ultimately, I think I'd like to ride this ride with a group of people, one of which who has ridden this trail before. Do you have a trail recommendation for me? Let me know in the comments below. Siri, what is the wind chill right now?
The wind chill is currently minus 20 degrees.
And lastly, just a quick look at my plans for the next couple of months before we're able to ride again. I plan on doing a top 5 trail ride video of 2021. I'm going to do a look at AllTrails. I plan on making a video giving a look at the e-bikes that we have here, including accessories and upgrades. So that's all I have for the January channel update. And I wish you all a wonderful and adventurous 2022. I'll catch you on the next video.